In this video, we're looking at equality rights around the world. What exactly are we talking about when we say equality rights? Well, generally that refers to laws, practices, and regulations that ensure equal treatment of people. Basically looking for non-discrimination. It's considered equality when the legal regime, when the laws are in place, do not discriminate amongst different groups in the population. And those common areas of focus are gender equality, laws that might treat men and women differently, racial, ethnic, or linguistic inequality, religious, laws that are discriminatory based on people's membership in religious groups, and sexual orientation. Those are some of the things that are typically examined under the scope, under the umbrella of equality rights. Equality rights are recognized as something that's important. They show up in the UN Declaration of Human Rights, that all humans are born free and equal in dignity and rights. Moreover, that we're entitled to protection without distinction. So again, that sort of idea of non-discrimination, equal benefit of the law, and equal protection of the law. And so those are some common themes when we think about inequality. We want to ensure that laws in a country do not discriminate, and that everybody in the society is able to benefit from the laws, and the laws aren't targeting groups of people. Around the world, that is the case. 85% of the constitutions around the world prohibit gender discrimination. There's also equality provisions for religion. 78% of the constitutions around the world ban religious discrimination. Many also focus on discrimination that's racial or ethnic, and they prohibit that. And there's even a few that focus on sexual orientation. So it's clearly something that is recognized as important because equality rights do show up in constitutions around the world. For example, the 14th Amendment of the United States, one of the earlier guarantees of equality. It's sort of one of the Reconstruction Amendments. The idea that no government within the United States shall make any law that deprives people of their rights without due process of law. Essentially, that's saying that you're entitled to proper legal process and, of course, equal protection of the laws. This should apply equally to different groups in society. Around the world, there are lots of different rights regimes. This map from Our World in Data, we can see that sort of the shaded blue areas that are stronger equality rates, stronger protections, are quite numerous. There's a lot. It seems to be, if we look around the world, that there's a lot of protection of rights, or at least guarantees of equality legally. If there is a problem area, it's probably in the Middle East and North Africa. There's some of the lower scores on this index. But over time, generally, there's been some progress. We look 70 years ago, we can see that there has been a lot of progress made towards expanding rights around the world. Even if we break it down specifically, looking at one thing in particular, gender equality, there's been a lot of improvement even since 1990. There's been more attention paid to making domestic abuse illegal and other types of discrimination. So over time, there is generally progress towards rights. In this case, you can see a lot of progress made for gender equality. Now, many countries do a pretty good job of protecting social, economic, and legal rights for women. Some do not. In some countries, especially in the Middle East and North Africa, there are things like guardianship laws. Guardianship laws restrict the movement of women. They can't, for example, they might not be able to leave the house or drive without being accompanied by a male relative, a guardian. There's also restrictions on property ownership and inheritance. There are some societies where women aren't allowed to take ownership of property or inherit from their spouse. Instead, the ownership would go to an eldest son or another relative. Saudi Arabia, one society in particular, where there's a lot of norms and laws around male guardianship. There are, according to the World Bank, the Women in Business and Law, there are a lot of other discriminatory practices as well. For example, things like child marriage and sexual harassment. There's a lot of work to do there in terms of ensuring gender equality in different legal regimes. On the positive side, though, there are some countries that do extremely well. According to that same index, Women in Business and Law from the World Bank, some countries get a perfect score in terms of ensuring formal legal equality between women and men. So just to recap, when we're talking about equality, we're looking at equal protection of the laws and non-discrimination. We want to see laws that do not discriminate against different groups in society. Generally, there's been progress over time as rights have been opened up to more groups of people, general liberalization of rights regimes around the world. However, there are still some countries that have legally enforced discrimination across groups.